Hello everybody and welcome back to the Tamiya Volvo Globetrotter 420 FH12 radio controlled lorry build. This is going to be part number 2. Well, this is part number 2 and we're going to try and get quite a bit done today, so expect a fairly long video. In fact, the previous video was quite long too, but this is going to be just as long. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with number 5, and I'll just move stuff out of the way a second and I have to move all my screws and stuff to show you exactly what we're going to be doing. So this is number 5, the top piece, and well, basically we're just assembling the shape of the chassis. This calls it the frame, and then actually it says chassis as well, so that's good. Yeah, we're going to be building the chassis today. Part number 5 also actually does start to integrate the shift servo into there as well. You can't actually see it, it's off the screen there, but it is there. So what I want to do is try and form the shape now instead of building the other pieces. I think there might be a few other pieces that have to be built first of all, but if we can just get the shape here, then at least we've made some progress. At least it will look like we've made some progress. So we have the 2 chassis frames just here. We have to use BC1 screws, which is exactly what I've got here, and we're going to attempt to get this built. I don't want to do this wrong. I really don't want to do this wrong. I think, looking at this, that is the wrong side. Although that's not much better. Hang on, what's going on here? Yeah, flip it round and then flip that round. There we go, that seems to be right. I think that's probably where I started anyway. But that is definitely right. So, just looking at this, does that go on the inside or the outside? I think it goes on the inside. Yeah, that would fit perfectly. That's very flush. Okay, there we go. There is the close-up view. I did just have to jump cut because I knocked my microphone over and it sounded like a car crash. So what we're going to have to do now is, well, I'm still demolishing stuff. Seems easy to do. It seems easy to demolish stuff while building, somehow. But yeah, we're going to get these screws into here. And I would usually time lapse, but I think it's too early in the video, and the chances are I'm going to have to say something else anyway, because as soon as these pieces are done, we're going to have to probably build another piece. Just getting these in loosely. I have a habit of moving away from the microphone, because the microphone obviously isn't the integrated one with the GoPro, because it sounds terrible when it's sat on the frame. It's currently on a microphone stand, but because it hasn't got a shock absorber, it takes up every single shock wave from the table, and for some reason it sounds like you're in an echo chamber, so that's very strange. I'm trying to cross thread here, but it's not going too well. Surprisingly difficult. Maybe if I put it on its side. What I would usually do if it starts to cross thread is, well, if it was a normal screw, I would turn the screw backwards so the thread falls into its groove, but as these are self-tapping, there is no thread, so you just have to make sure you have it level to begin with. I'll get there in the end. I'll tell you something, what I should do is I should get my Ratchet Screwdriver. This is just a cheap screwdriver. But the Ratchet one would take a lot of strain off it. It's surprising how hard it is to turn, actually. It is a small screwdriver, though. We'll get there in the end. It probably is just... Oh no, it doesn't look to be. I was going to say it probably is cross-threading slightly, but it seems to be going in fairly straight. It's just very, very hard to turn. I need to get a bigger screwdriver. On the plus side, I do now have my side cutters from last week, so that's good. Don't know if anything else is supposed to go on here. No, doesn't look like it. Anyway, the good thing is rigidity is appearing. I don't know what it is. That bottom one there just does not want to tighten properly. If you look at it from the back here, it looks absolutely fine. Maybe it is just tight. Next one you'll hear is a big crack, and I'll have snapped the plastic it's going into. Anyway, yeah, that is one side done. So it is actually very narrow, this entire assembly. It's not very wide at all. That's roughly what it's going to look like, although Yeah, more like that. Don't want to put it on back to front. And there we go. One thing again which I have actually spotted here is, bizarrely, there is a very, very small gap, like a hairline gap between this side, between these two pieces, but this side here is fine. And if you look on the back, it's all in line. In fact, the bottom's fine. The bottom's perfectly fine. So maybe it has just gone in funny. There we go. There we go. If I just lift it up a bit and then tighten it, maybe then it'll be fine. Sorted. Done. Good. So that is progress. That is certainly now looking a bit more like a chassis, although a bit thin. So next we have C19, which I think is the piece which we actually created in the previous episode. I think it is this piece. It's got the press nuts in it. Yeah, so we need some, well, many more actually. Many more BC1s, which are, yeah, just these self-tapping ones. There's loads of them, but the problem is, you see, they're mixed up with all of the BC2s. It's probably just easier to tip them all out. Again, this is fairly simple, providing you put it the correct way round. So, I think it goes this way. And then it goes somewhere. Let me just check. Pretty much at the end, looking at it. I think it is there. Sorry about the banging on the table. Well, if the neck, let me just check. We have 2 available holes there, which is interesting. Okay. I am now confused. It's right, I think, but probably looking at it upside down. Yes, I am looking at it upside down. Brilliant work. Which means it might be in back to front. They show the rail upside down here. I don't know. Yeah, I think it is in. That's in wrong. It's got to be. There. That's it. That's exactly how it should be. So now I've done that, I can now put the screw in. Again though, it's still not 100% right by the look of it, because we've got like an area where it doesn't... I'm going to have to think about this. It does align. It does line up perfectly, but then there is an extra hole which doesn't seem to be even mentioned. I might be thinking too much into it. Yeah, I am. It's definitely the right hole. There just seems to be an extra hole on my chassis which there isn't in the picture. But I might be taking it a bit too literally, which doesn't help. I mean, it's only there for guidance after all. It's not there to tell you absolutely everything, because there's no... Well, there is some writing, but there's very limited writing. Like 3 words for each section. It just says, attaching the servo, and that's it. And for this category, for this section, it says frame. Although if there is something which is desperately needing to be told, it does tell you. But very rarely. But that's all part of the fun. Because what's the point in a project which uses your brain and common sense if it goes and tells you everything? Amazingly, I do find it very stress relieving building this, and I actually thought before I built it, well before I started building it, I thought it would be the kind of project where you get mad at it and then throw it across the room. But so far, it's actually really, really fun, very therapeutic, and you do feel less stressed afterwards. So yeah, I think there is a lot to be said for this kind of thing. It's a very enjoyable project. Anyway, there we go. I just hope that I've put this piece in the correct way around. I think I have. I'm fairly sure I have. Although I can never be sure. Yeah. Yes, that is right. It must be. So, what we can do now is we can put in the next piece, which looks identical, but it isn't. And annoyingly, it isn't actually labelled. So it's probably the same number. It's probably another C19. I didn't know there were more C19s, but let's just take a look. Yeah, it looks like there is. It looks like there's 2 more on here. Oh no, that's C1. Interesting. Very interesting. I see. There is a blue arrow. A great big blue arrow which you can't miss, but I've missed it. And it does, it says C1, so that's good. That sorts that out. You know what? I can't believe this. I managed to go and find my side cutters and I've not brought them in. Great work. Maybe the next episode will have side cutters. They're getting closer to the build every episode. You never know, they might be used in episode 3. Just while I'm here, C2, is that... No, don't think C2's in yet. So C1 requires BA2, 2 BA2s, and BA2s are lock nuts. Right, so that's going to be in the BA bag, which is somewhere. It's somewhere. It's going to be not too far away. That's the BB bag. That is obviously the BC bag. So where is the BA bag? It is the BA bag, isn't it? Yeah. That probably sounds ridiculous me saying that, because I've just said what it is. Oh, where have I put it? I don't know where I've put it. Yeah, I think I can see it. That's the one we're looking for. BA. So let's look for a lock nut. Probably the smallest lock nuts I've ever seen. So we've got one. We need 2 actually. Feed a second one out of there. There we go. Put the bag over there with all the other nuts and screws and stuff. And then I think, yeah, we've got a notch which you can put this into. It's just then you need to figure out exactly how you're going to put it into there. I would guess that it goes in back to front. Let's just see. It's a snug fit. Yeah, that looks about right. So if I do the same thing to the other side, when we put it into position, I won't have to fight with it to try and get the second one in. So which way does this one go into position? Let's just see. This one goes with a BC1 again, and it goes in... Well, actually, that's interesting. It's got the nut at the bottom, but then the screw shows to be in the top. I suppose that would work, actually, because the BC1 is a tapping screw. So actually, we're not using the nut just yet. So it's the next double screw hole, just here. And it faces... there's no distinguishing sort of features to these things which give it away as to which way they go in. The nut's definitely at the bottom, so it must be that way. I've come across another problem here. It's too wide. It can't be too wide. Let's just get it in. There we go. Yeah, it's supposed to be snug. Make sure it's level. It's not level. There we go, perfect. So now the holes are aligned, and that's all very good. So if we get our tapping screw, should be able to put one in the top. There we go, perfect fit. And the nut we put in, that's now showing through, so whatever goes into that now can do. Before I put the that one in fully, I'll just put another one in case it knocks it out of line. And now I can fully tighten it. Now this is definitely instantly adding rigidity to the entire chassis. It's amazing. It's just a bag of bits, and it can just it turns into a lorry, obviously, but yeah, it just transforms so quickly. Okay, that one's fairly tight. The reason why these videos are so long is because there are obviously occasions where I can time lapse and I have to time lapse, but there's other occasions where, yeah, I do go quiet, but if I was to time lapse it, then it would just be like a blink and you miss it sort of a thing. So I just can't keep time lapsing all the time. Right, next we have got Q11 and Q8. Now I think I've seen those fairly recently. Yes, I have. They're just behind the camera. I've just knocked the camera. And everything's trying to fall down because I took the one from the bottom. Here it is. At least I think it is anyway. Let's just see. This is the Q one, I assume. Everything's trying to fall down again. Q? It might not be Q actually. Oh, it is Q. Good. So we're looking for Q8. So here it is. This one just here. Ow. And we also have Q11. And Q11 is, well, it should be fairly obvious. It must be the one on the end here. Might have to be cut. Oh, no. Good. Anyway, because I did take that one from the bottom of the pile, everything else is trying to fall down. So let's hope they stay put. Right. So, I think the first piece that we should put in, unless this piece needs to be attached to this piece, first of all, the first piece would be that piece, Q11. But looking at it, I think that's going to cause problems if I do put that in first, so I should establish exactly which way that goes in. That way around, so then that piece goes onto there, like that, and it's joined together with BC1, which is the tapping screws once again. And I do think it's a good idea just to put each one in slightly first, because otherwise you can start to get them out of line, and then you try and force the last one in, and then you cross thread it. Obviously in this case you can't cross thread it, but then you'd put it in at an angle, and it could potentially crack the plastic. And the parts for these, they're not expensive, they're not cheap. So basically you just do not want to be breaking parts unnecessarily. I would like to say that I won't break a part doing this, but I don't know, it's such a big project, there's so many screws I have to put in. I think 100% success rate would be a challenge, but having said that, they're very well made parts, so it can't be that hard, you would hope. Not something I like to say. Yeah, I definitely need to get my ratchet screwdriver, or just basically a better screwdriver, because this one is quite painful on your hand after a long period of time. That's why my hands are appearing red in the videos. And, oh, they're a bit cut as well, because I've been doing a bit of hawthorn. Anyway, so that one now goes into here, this way round. There we go. And these are joined in with BC1s. I think there's going to be quite a few BC1s. Obviously it's an instant giveaway when you look at the BC bag, which is this one here. Many BCs. But I would assume that is for the entire project. So let's just see here. I think it is now just a case of putting the 4 BC1s in. They're all self-tapped. So align them there. And this is an opportunity for a time lapse. Now that's done, we can progress forwards, and actually we are going to this end now. Everything here is just skipped in the middle. Obviously I would say the gearbox is going to sit in there, so we can't actually put anything in there anyway. The last thing is the shift servo, and I think as long as everything is done right, because I always worry with the electrics, because I'm really bad at electrics, I am not keen on doing it. Yeah, I would hope that everything's going to work there. This is the shift servo. It's obviously different to the steering servo, only mildly though. The servo itself is the same, it's just the piece on top, and you can see it's like it got serrations where you can adjust how far this sits out. I think it's for. It did say to put it into the very last one, which is where it is now, so that should be right, I hope. I always have to say I hope, because you just never know. Anyway, so this is hang on, that's, I think actually I might have put that in wrong. Yeah, if they're sticking up like that, it actually shows that this piece, hopefully you can see it, curves down. Well, here it's curving up. Right, so just cheated a bit there, but to be fair, I'm a bit sick of wearing my hand out with this cheap screwdriver, but although I would tighten it up and undo it with that, I would never fully tighten it, because if you go too far with that, you can't really feel how tight it's going, and you can very easily just rip the plastic thread out. So yeah, I don't have a problem with using it, and hopefully nobody else has a problem with me using it either, but I would, yeah, just not a good idea to use it for tightening, basically. But that's done. So I hope that that is now the correct way around. Let me just see. If I've changed it for the worst, that would just be terrible. But now that is facing down, and that's facing up. So yeah, that is good. That's exactly how it should be. Fantastic, which means now we should be able to put the servo in. I thought something was looking a bit strange. It was very weird. So the servo sits like that, and then I assume it sits in the holes just here. One screw on one side and two on the other. Something not quite fitting there. Yeah, I'm just going to have to figure this out. Something not totally right. It turned out to be very simple. All I was trying to do was put it on the top of the chassis when actually it's supposed to slide underneath. So very simple, all done, and I don't think that fully concludes it, but it's very close. We have to put C2 in. So as soon as C2 is done, that is section 5 completed. I think C2 is the one I looked at previously. Yeah, see, it would be this one here, yeah. So if I can just get that off there. There we go. And then I think it is just another case of putting the standard BC1s in. It is, yeah. We put it in looking that way. So just very simply goes into the end. Perfect fit, really snug. And yeah, 4 BC1s. BC1s being the tapping screw. Oh, it's so small and fiddly. But that, yeah, that will conclude section 5. And I think that has gone fairly smoothly. Obviously we did have one issue. I put the thing on upside down, but it wasn't a massive problem. The worst thing that could happen, as far as I can say in this project, is I make a mistake with the gearbox, the internals of the gearbox. Because it's not like you get given a gearbox, you actually have to build it yourself. And that is the thing which I would be worried about. Because basically, as far as I can see as well, if you just get one gear slightly off, then surely as soon as you turn the motor on, it's just going to mash the gears up. But I'm going to triple check it before I put any electricity near it. I've had a flick through the book and I've seen it and everything. It just looks so complicated. But well, as I've seen with these steps, it's actually easier when you get to it than what it initially looks like. Right, so now they're snuggled up, we can just finish off with the screwdriver. Part number 6. This is going to be the second to last part we do today. We're going to finish off with part number 7. Number 6 is steering, and number 7 is attaching the steering servo. Both of which are well, I suppose you could say fairly straightforward, but I would say part number 6 is going to take a while. Part number 7 is literally, from what I can see, just a case of screwing the servo onto the side of the chassis, so hopefully it won't be too bad. Anyway, yeah, number 6, just here. We've got to look for all these different parts as usual. It looks like we actually do get a bit of help here with the 90-degree angle setting on the servo. That'll be the ball joint, I think. So if we now go and find these parts, then we should be able to begin. C6 is the first one, so we look on here. C6 is this piece just here, so I'll get that taken out. C7 looks remarkably similar, so I suppose that's going to be for maybe for the gearbox shifter, I don't know. Unless C7 is used on here too, I'm not too sure. Anyway, there it is, C6. We also need C14, which is this fairly large piece, just here. Which comes off, number C7, yeah, C7 as well. Basically, by the look of it, one at each end, C6 and C7. Pretty much duplicated parts from what I can tell. Well, looking at them, oh, there is actually, there is a difference between the two, but they are very similar. Anyway, that is the C parts done, I think, unless there is another piece. Let me just take a look very quickly. No, I don't think there is, but obviously I'll keep it close, just in case you have to get it back very soon. So, we have various steering rods just here, and a ball joint, 2 ball joints in fact. We also have MA21, which is a spline shaft, which we're actually going to have very soon. Now actually, as well, for the very first time in this build, we're going to have to get the grease out. We need to get the grease onto various parts. I just need to find that. I have put it somewhere safe, so that I can find it again very easily. Okay, here we go. So this bag is basically filled with grease and thread lock, different solutions. There is actually a double-sided foam pad there, and also a zip tie. These must be for the end. We've also got the ceramic grease just here. We have thread lock, liquid thread lock, and yeah, various other minor pieces of hardware, which we'll probably use very soon. So yeah, liquid thread lock is going to be needed, but not at this stage. It's going to be later, I think. So let me just make sure everything is here. Again, I don't think that piece is required just yet. It's just going to be the ceramic grease, which says keep out of reach of children. Makes sense, I suppose. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to pierce the lid, probably with a screwdriver. Usually they have like a screw-on lid which you can turn upside down and put a hole in, but not with this one, so it must be a different design. Anyway, yes, let's go and focus on these parts here. So this is the spline shaft, which you can see. I think this just fits into the 2 pieces, C6 and C6. Oh, actually we've got C16 as well, which I've missed there. C16. That's why I kept it close, which is basically a tube. There it goes. We may have to get some other parts as well. So, yep, that looks all very good. I'm going to start off with C6, which is this one. You can tell because it's got a different shape on the end of it. And within this we need to put a BA1 nut. Now, a BA1 nut is just a basic nut, nothing special about it, not a lock nut, nothing like that. So the BA pack is just here. They're very small. I would tip it out. I need a parts dish actually. Parts dishes are very useful. Come on. There we go. Okay, good. So we have the nut. So this nut is going to fit in the bottom section, and in this nut we actually have the ball joint, the very long threaded ball joint, for reasons which are unknown at this stage. I don't know why it has such a protruding thread, but it does. So I guess we'll find out later. But that looks to be correct. Yeah, we've got it in the bottom hole there, facing that direction. Yeah, that is right. Okay, good. So next, I'll just put the cable tie away. Next we've got to get the actual shaft, which is going to be greased. We probably should just... I can't see why we'd have to grease the entire thing, just the spline at each end. So I don't want to get too much grease out, that's the problem. So if I just... Yeah, that was my concern. Wow, that was under pressure. I wasn't even squeezing it. Right, just found one, and this one needs to be 0.5 mm. I have actually already checked these, so yeah, that is 0.5 mm, which is actually a very tight gap indeed. The other one is 33. Pretty sure these are all set right. Yep, that's 33, and this one is 91. Yes, 91, good. So they are all set to the correct distances. Obviously, if something does need to be adjusted later, it can be, but that is exactly how it says in the book, so there shouldn't be a problem. And that actually does conclude part number 6. So we have all the steering rods done. I think they're for the bin. Always very cautious of throwing away the plastic, just in case there is another part on it. And yet we've completed that part as well. So that is the contents of part 6, steering. So next we have to attach the steering servo to the chassis, which means we're going to be coming back to here. This is going to be slightly trickier, because obviously at this stage it's much harder to find the correct holes as there are so many. So it looks like we're actually bolting to, if we go around this way, bolting to these 4 holes just here. Hopefully you can see them. They are threaded, so if I do this correctly, BA5 should be a standard screw. BA5. Okay, it's probably going to be mentioned on the previous... Oh no, here it is. Screw. Yes, the longer screw. Good. BA then. We need to go and find BAs, I think. There go a few screws. In fact, there goes a BA. Fantastic. Quite a few. Yep, it should be. In fact, it's a good job I've got this ruler now, because I can now measure things. It should be 12mm. Let's check the other one. Right, good job I checked. Because it's amazing. There's so many variances. It's not the super long ones, it's not the super short ones. In fact, I think there are actually at least 4 different sizes in here. And they're all very similar. Surprising. So easy to use the wrong screw. I suppose it isn't the end of the world, it's just one will be sticking out too far. But it's not the ideal situation to be using the incorrect screws. Right. Good. That is all the screws which we require. That is 12mm. That's perfect. So we can now begin bolting this to here. Actually, yes, we're not bolting the servo to those 4 holes. We're actually bolting this first of all. It is that top of the taper at this end, so it should fit like this. If I've done everything correctly. Yep, that looks perfect. And it goes that way round. Good. Okay. So we'll get that bolted to it. Now obviously I'm not going to use the electric screwdriver for this. It would just be over the top. But if I have to do any prolonged screwing or anything like that, like loads of screws, then yeah, the electric screwdriver is much easier. Next. Okay, right. Good. All 4 are in. All 4 screws in the correct places. Just tighten it up. Should do it in a cross pattern, I suppose. Good. So that is the steering, steering housing? I'm not sure a technical term. It doesn't actually tell you technical terms on here, so it's just calling it C14, the part number. Anyway, that's good. We now need to put the servo on. The servo fits on that way. It fits onto these holes just here, like that. There should be 3 screws, I assume. Yes, 3 screws. And it takes the BA4s, which are the very small, very short ones. There they are, the shortest screws in the bag. For obvious reasons, it's just not really got much to go through. We'll get this attached to the side. And then I think actually that is... yeah. Oh, we've got to put one steering rod on. But that will conclude part 7, which actually will conclude this video, unfortunately. But we'll be continuing same time next week, so stay tuned. It's annoying really, because you've got to spend all this time doing these parts, and then as soon as you come to start mounting things onto the chassis to actually make things look like they're progressing, it comes to the end of the video. But I suppose that is the way it's going to work all the way through. You spend all the time creating the parts, and then at the end you fit them all. So there we go. Now looking at this, we're going to be using, well, it's calling it B. Does B have a reference? I would guess it is the 33mm one. That would be the obvious one. Yes, it is. Yeah, B's referenced here. Good. So does it just... hang on, is that on upside down? Oh no, it isn't. Oh, I see. It goes actually up. It goes underneath it. So does it just click on? Seems to suggest that it does just press onto here. It's going to be a tight fit. Oh, it's obviously going to be a very tight fit. Yep, it's on, and it didn't break. There it is. Wow, I can't believe that didn't break it. So, yep, just move this back so you can see a bit. I know you can't see too much, but yep, that is the conclusion of part 7. Yep, nothing else. So next time, you can look forward to, I think it's all to do with suspension. Yep, so we've got leaf springs to fit, we've got the dampeners, all that kind of stuff. Oh, we actually have to make the dampeners ourselves. Wow, that's going to be an experience. Have to grease everything. I must remember to grease stuff. Sorry, you can't see that, obviously. There, the dampeners are there. But no, stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed episode number 2. And until next time, see you again very soon. Bye for now.